Next, let's look at set and dictionary comprehension. If we can do list and tuple comprehension, surely, right, we will suspect it will be possible to do set and dictionary comprehension. And answer is yes, you can actually try that, right? And again, the generated comprehension values, because they are of types set and dictionary respectively, anywhere you need a set or a dictionary, you can also replace it with a set or dictionary comprehension if it makes sense, if the contents make sense. So let's try it out with some examples. First, we look at set comprehension. And that's actually just a quick illustration, because really it's just trying to see how to set it up. And the way to set it up is to use the set manifest type operator, which is the curly bracket, without the colons inside. Because once you have colon, it means key value pairs, and that becomes a dictionary. So we need to be careful with that. But because it is for loop, calculating only expression. So this is just a number, just a value, a number, a data, not going to be a control, right? Not going to redirect the traffic to somewhere else. So it is quite easy for Python to recognize that there is no colon here, and because the wrapper operators are curly brackets, so it's very unambiguous that Python will take this as a set. So let's run it and see. Okay, fair enough. We actually get the set S here, all right? We expect it to be ranging from 3 to 4, which means just 3. So 3 squared is 9. We will get 9 here. But if we intend to get 0, 1, 4, 9, right, we should be doing 0 to 4, like that. So that'll be 0, 1, 4, 9. And if we start with -3, what happens? We can manually calculate to see that we get 9, 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, 9, because we will not include 4 squared, that is 16. However, because it is a set, we should get back only unique values. So if we run this again, not surprisingly, we get some jumbled up sequence, which doesn't matter. Sequence doesn't matter, but it will be unique values of 0, 1, 4, 9. And what is the type of S? Set, right? Yeah, so that's pretty cool to discover that. Just trying to update and get ready for the next demonstration. All right, let's do the next demonstration. Let's here and here do a separator. Now we can try our hands on dictionary comprehension a little bit, right? So let's just run it and see the results first and comprehend the dictionary comprehension. So let's look at DT, dictionary. Here, suppose, right, just suppose, we would like to have the key value pairs 100 mapped to A, 100 mapped to A, 101 mapped to B, 102 mapped to C, and in a very systematic, linear way. We can scale and do constant step jumps and whatnot, but it's very systematic. If that's the case, think about having dictionary comprehension. How? Well, we can use enumerate the listing of ABCD. So first of all, what is ABCD? That's just a string. It will be a chore if we have to do for KV enumerate, type out the list like this. It'll be quite a chore to do that for the for loop to work. Yeah. So when we convert a string into a list, a sort of normal string ABCD into a list, Python understands it by extracting characters individually, form them as strings, and then wrap them around with a list. That's very nice, very cool, very understanding of Python to do that. So when we enumerate a list, It's not like dictionary. Just be careful. Huh? Even though we are using key value here, KV here, it doesn't mean key value. It actually should be I, comma, value. So I is the index position. So A has the index position of 0, B 1. So like this. A has a value, index position value of 1. A has index position 0, B 1, C 2, and D 3. So when we do that, the for loop is simultaneously associating the two loop variables K and V. This one, K and V. K with the index position, V with the actual value in the list. So the first run, K will be 0 and V will be A. Yeah? And 0 plus 100 is 0. So 100 is associated with the string A. That's where we get this. In the second loop, the next entity is B, and it is index position 1. But 1 plus 100 is 101. So 101 is associated, the colon here, with the entity B. So we get this. And if you keep doing that, we will reach the end of the list with exactly the correct generation of the key values. Next, let's try to do the other way around. We might want to go from the string A back to the number. So it's like if I see an A, give me the value 100. Well, that's basically having the same loop sequence, right? So we actually do the same loop sequence in the dictionary comprehension. However, this time round, we use the value, which is the strings A, B, C, and D individually. All right, like this. We put the value in the key because the content is what we want, right? The key has the strings A, B, C, D in turn, and each of them maps to K plus 100. So at first K is 0, that's 100. Then K is 1, 101, and so on. So that's DT2. Further, we can also have list comprehensions within dictionary comprehensions. Are you with me? Right. So we want to say A is mapped, the string A, the key A, is not mapped to 100, but a bunch of numbers. It may be, I don't know, housing blocks. Block number 100, 101, 102 is zone A, something like that. And this grouping of blocks to zone letters is very systematic. It's always in threes and it's always in calculatable numbers like 100, then 110, then 120, then 130. It's very linear. It's very it's very calculatable. It's in a formula, linear formula. So that will be a very tempting scenario for us to run list comprehension or dictionary comprehension. So notice that this list here is very linear, right? Very sequential, very enumerable with an expression. So we simply say, have an enumeration from 100 to 101, 102. Well, that's easy. We just simply do, for blocks, right? The blocks will be a number inside the range K times 10 plus 100. Why that? Why that? Because K is the enumeration of letters A, B, C, D. Nothing has changed, right? Because if you take away all this, that's like above or plus 100 or not. Huh? That's just like a normal dictionary comprehension. But instead of having the value as K, we can always have a list comprehension as the value. So spit out the values, generate the values 100, 101, 102. Why? Because we just tune the range to, at first, K is 0. So that's 0. 0 plus 100 is 100. 100 until 103. So that means 100, 101, 102. So that is what is generated in the first list. In the second key value pair run for the for loop here, we get B and K is now 1. 1 is scaled up to 10, right? So times 10. 1 becomes 10, and 100 plus 10 becomes 110 to 113. So that's when we get a list comprehension of 110 to 112. And as you can imagine, K becomes 2, so that becomes 20, and we get a very nice auto indicator of the start and end range for the range to work properly. And therefore, our list comprehension will generate the blocks properly for our zone letters V. Okay, so this is our programmer's view, and this is the runtime view. So let's just run it again and see that we actually get the scenario that we desired. Now, just as a ending advice for all these comprehension setups, number one, these are just convenience expressions. So in cases when we are trying to do loops, generating only values and stuffing them into sets or tuple or dictionary or list, then that is prime candidate for us to try to inverse wrap in, put the for loop inside the explicit data type that we intend to generate. That is those situations will be very, very prime candidates for having comprehension setup. Number two is when the data is not so anticipatable. That means we cannot really calculate in a very systematic way, like k times 10 plus 100. We cannot really do it very neatly because zone A has 3 blocks under zone A's supervisor's charge, but zone B only 1 block because it's a smaller area or whatnot, right? So if that's the case, it's a bit oddball, and we cannot have a very neat way to write this kind of oddball, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter lists. Then list comprehension is not good. Even though it's tempting, even though it looks very right, it is not right. We cannot use list comprehension if the size and the values themselves are a bit haphazard, a bit less conformant to formulas description. Then don't try to squeeze in comprehension setup. Yeah.